Hello, and welcome to Of the People. So, where is the violence? By now, the entire world knows that Donald Trump was found guilty on all 34 charges in New York State. No surprise there. But my real question is, where's the violence? Because violence in the name of politics has now clearly been accepted. Let's not forget the summer of brotherly love, at least the last one in 2020. In Black Lives Matter, these mostly peaceful protests, and now you're seeing these mostly peaceful, somewhat violent protests on a bunch of college campuses and in the name of Hamas and the terrorists that attacked Israel. So, and for those people, by the way, who say, well, they weren't violent, I would remind you of Lieutenant, I think his name was Dorn, David Dorn, in St. Louis, who was a retired police officer guarding a friend's shop when he was murdered during Black Lives Matter. So don't tell me that political violence or violence in the name of politics is not okay, because where's the outrage and where are the issues? But let's get back to the trial. Most people after the trial have been focusing on the jury, and let's be really clear. The jury did their job. I have nothing but respect for the jury. They followed the procedures. The issue isn't the jury, and that's what everyone seems to be focusing on. The issue is the district attorney, the issue and the contortions he went through to actually get a case or bring a case, and then the judge and how the judge ruled. And let's be really clear. There are 3 points here that are really important. The first is that this was a federal law prosecuted on the state level where they had to go through gymnastics just to change it from a misdemeanor, because if it was a misdemeanor, the statute of limitations would have run. So they had to sort of reconstitute this as a federal felony violation and still prosecute at the state level, right? Square peg, round hole. But again, this is under the Get Trump heading. So as long as we're getting Trump, it's okay. And speaking of Trump, it's not like they found a violation or found an infraction of the law and then found the perpetrator. They clearly were out to get Trump. And then they tried to find a way to get him, right? That's really what went on here in all of this, right? And the third thing in any crime is who's the victim. This is overstating falsification of business records, right? Misdemeanor slap on the wrist. Who is the victim here? Who was hurt by this? Not the banks. Trump repaid his loans, right? So the issue here is not the jury. The jury did their job, and yes, this is, a jury. I got news for you. In the 1930s, the gangster Al Capone, Scarface Al Capone, was treated better at rule of law. They got him obviously for IRS for income tax evasion, because God forbid you don't pay your taxes to feed the beast even back then. But even he was treated better. The real issue here is two things. Number one, there's no violence because conservatives by nature follow the rule of law. And the real thing we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show, there was no violent reaction, and there shouldn't have been, because there's other ways to fight back against this. Most notably, in 72 hours, what did they raise? $200 million. We'll talk about that as well. But this is about rule of law. And really, this is about the weaponization of the judicial system to go after a political opponent. So if this wasn't a kangaroo court, I don't know what is. So where's the violence? Not on the conservative side of the aisle. But make no mistake, there will be a price to pay for this in November. And that's the monologue.